Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing very well. So today it is Makeup and Movie Monday. So every Monday I like to talk about my favourite movies, my favourite genres, and do my makeup at the same time. Last week I didn't upload, I apologise. I was having a really kind of busy day and my mind wasn't in the right place, but today I'm a bit more refreshed and I have a topic. So today's topic is going to be about bands that make movies. So I know this is a weird kind of idea and concept, but it's actually kind of more popular than a lot of people would realise. So a lot of people would kind of say, oh, that's technically a musical, and sometimes yes it is, most of the time it is, but sometimes it's basically musicians who think they're great at acting, and of course a lot of the time some actors do have the talent of being musicians as well. But today I'm going to be concentrating on bands that have already kind of been around that made movies, just to kind of fill that gap in their fan base. So if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because throughout the week I do other makeup reviews and other makeup things, and then Mondays I do movie stuff. So as per usual, everything that I am going to be using I will put in the description, so if you want to see what brands I use, then have a look. So let's get on with it. So the reason why I wanted to kind of talk about this today is just very strange. I've just been thinking about just incorporating music into these videos as well, because music is a big part of my life as well as movies, and I kind of feel like when it comes to the movies aspect, there's so much more than just a movie that you would see in the cinema. There's, like I mentioned, like scores and actual musicians who are bands and musicals, and I do really want to do like my top 10 musicals of all time, but it's taken me a while to kind of, I think I spoke about it last year that I wanted to do it, but I just haven't really had a chance to kind of sit down and have a proper think. So the first kind of band that I want to talk about is my favourite band of all time, and it is Led Zeppelin. So in case you don't know much about me, I am like a massive super duper crazy fan, and have been for like almost 15 years now. And yeah, they are a band that I have absolutely been obsessed and adored with since I just, like, day one of me discovering them. And like most bands, they have had a live concert that has been released on DVD, but this is also a movie in itself, because it was released in the cinemas, and a lot of people, obviously all the fans, will know about it because it was such a big event for them. So this was called The Song Remains the Same, which is also the title of their opening track on Houses of the Holy, which is like my favorite album of theirs. So essentially it's their live gigs at Madison Square Garden in New York during I think it was like 1972 or 3, and they were essentially filming it. But what they would add is fantasy kind of videos, part of it as well. So each member of the band would have a kind of fantasy part of, like a part of a song, which would kind of trail off from being part of the gig essentially. So for example, with Robert Plant the singer, he would be I can't remember what it's a real kind of character, real character, does that make sense? It's not really kind of character who is quite famous for like rescuing people. I'm so bad at describing, I'm so sorry, but it's like a reimagination of him being that person. And then you have John Paul Jones, which is a bass player. He has like a fantasy of being kind of part of this little gang that rescue women who are being kind of attacked on London streets. It's a very weird concept idea, but I like the way that it works, really, because it does take you away. It doesn't take you away from the music, because the music is still playing in the background, where the visuals itself has trailed off from the concert. So I guess it's a kind of, the first time I watched it I was a bit like not really sure what is happening, but obviously the more you watch it, the more you realize it's kind of a fantasy aspect. So then, yeah, I remember watching it and I was just like, this is actually really fun. And of course, the music is just fantastic. It's a great way for them to kind of incorporate their music or their live concert into just something a bit different, because they're a band who were known to be quite just different, but then still be kind of amazing, because they are known as one of the greatest kind of rock bands and most influential rock bands in the world. I'm not just saying that because I'm a huge fan, but is just, if you look at, like, you know, the top 10 greatest bands of all time, they're always there. And I feel like having something like The Song Remains the Same is perfect for people who like cinema and movies to kind of be incorporated with movies also. So that was that one. They only did one thing like that because they were a band that were only around for like 11 years before John Bonham passed away. So I don't know if they would have done anything else like that. They did do like the Celebration Day, which was kind of the concert for their kind of one-off gig, but that wasn't a movie. That's not really a concept that I'm kind of bringing up here. So the next band is The Who. So I've spoken about Tommy by The Who before. I did a Makeup and Movie Monday on them because it is like my favorite musical of all time. I grew up watching it and just being completely kind of baffled by it, but just loved it at the same time because it has such amazing music. It has a really interesting concept behind it, and the fact that you do have band members in there acting as well. So you do have Tommy, who's played by Roger Daltrey, who is the singer of The Who. He does acting obviously, but he doesn't do a whole load of acting because his character is deaf, dumb and blind, and then spoilers, later he kind of is cured from it. But he has some kind of acting roles in there as well. He has done other acting outside of The Who, which I haven't really seen, but I've heard he's an okay actor. He's a better singer at that, I tell you. But yeah, when it comes to that, they kind of called it a rock opera, so it was kind of, I guess it was one of the first of its kind, and I absolutely love Tommy by The Who because it's got amazing music in there, it's got a fantastic cast, it's got Oliver Reed in it, and it also has Jack Nicholson pops up really briefly in it as well, which is pretty fun. Tina Turner's in it. I guess, again, that is a musical, but it's still a band making a movie because it's made by Ken Russell, who is a professional director. And of course, a lot of these movies are made by real directors, but when it comes to someone like Ken Russell, who is a very kind of controversial director and a very kind of interesting director, as you would say, he kind of brings such a great kind of thought of the band into the film itself. And of course, The Who also made Quadrophenia as well, which I have not seen. I don't know why, because I've heard it is very good, and I don't think any of the band is in it, but the music is in it. But again, they were a band that are involved in making it, if that makes any sense. And another band that I kind of love talking about is Pink Floyd. So they made The Wall, which is essentially a movie based off their album The Wall. I know, you know, quite famously, Nostalgia Critic has, you know, I think it was about 2 years ago, or not even that, has made a review on it, and it's kind of one of the worst reviews ever in like YouTube history. And thing is, I haven't watched it, I've only seen reviews of it because I don't watch Nostalgia Critic. I'm not really into that type of YouTube stuff, but it just makes me laugh that they kind of were talking about it the way that they did. But when it comes to Pink Floyd, they are one of my favorite bands in the whole world, especially when it comes to like my love of 70s music, because of course you have Dark Side of the Moon, and then you have The Wall, which is a very kind of political album. And then when you bring the theme behind the movie, which is again very important, I haven't seen it, so yeah, I'm such a great fan, but I had just never had the opportunity to see it anywhere. I don't own it on DVD, but yeah, the whole concept around it is very important to the album. Sorry, because it's yeah, it's for that era, it's for that time. And of course, Roger Waters has done a tour for The Wall, and I know that there was a movie that he essentially made around it also, which is very interesting. I was going to go to the cinema to watch it, but I haven't had a chance. That was like, I didn't have a chance at the time, which is what I meant. So yeah, that I didn't get to see, but again, I've heard very good things about it. So that was another movie that kind of came out. And then now we're going on to some kind of, a band that I absolutely love, and this is more of a kind of concert in itself. So Talking Heads, they are a fantastic band from the 80s, and they did a kind of concert movie called Stop Making Sense, which is amazing. A lot of people that are, you know, kind of say, oh, what's your favorite kind of concert film? That, and of course The Song Remains the Same, is up there, because the music again is fantastic. I love Talking Heads, they're a fantastic band. And of course, when you're watching the gig itself, I absolutely love it, because the way it starts off is just David Byrne with a little cassette player and an acoustic guitar, and then as the kind of gig continues, the band just grows and grows and grows. So they I think like after every song they wheel on someone new or something new to kind of incorporate into a new song, which I think is fantastic. David Byrne also did a movie called True Stories, which I absolutely love. I actually went to the Prince Charles to see it. I think it must have been just before kind of lockdown was happening, or it was definitely before lockdown, definitely last year or the year before that. And I love that movie. I remember when like my dad introduced me to it, and it's such a weird film, but again, it's incorporating Talking Heads music into the film. And yeah, you do have, I'm pretty sure, yeah, David Byrne did direct it as well, so it's quite a awesome like seeing him acting. He's not the greatest of actors, but John Goodman is in it. It was one of his first acting roles, which is pretty awesome. I'm just gonna do my eyes now. It's gonna take a second for me to decide what I'm actually gonna be using, but yeah, when it comes to Talking Heads, everyone knows Stop Making Sense, because it's such an iconic kind of concert and a video in itself, and I'm pretty sure it did come out in the cinema, so that was pretty amazing. And then going on to some amazing classic bands. Again, this video is more about my favorite kind of not concert, but like movies, and then some kind of concert movies at the same time as well. So of course I couldn't do this video and not talk about the Beatles and the movies, that kind of couple of movies that they made that were around them acting, which is really interesting because they're not great actors, but the thing is, their music is just fantastic and so just beautiful. They are one of my favourite bands. I know it's that whole stereotypical, like, everyone loves the Beatles, or everyone, you know, this amount of people hate the Beatles. I'm not about that. I just think their music is wonderful. It's wonderful. And watching their movies when I was kind of growing up, I was a bit kind of, because a few of them, I know Help is in, no, Hard Day's Night is in black and white. And I remember watching it, actually, I think it must have been like a year or two ago, because it was on Amazon, I believe, or it was on Netflix, one of those. And I watched it and I was just like, they either really don't like acting or they're just taking the piss. And I think with them, they, especially when it comes to a lot of their interviews, which I find really funny, they're very sarcastic. So I think when it comes to them being in movies, a lot of the times they're trying to play themselves when they're playing a character, and it's just really weird how it works. But a lot of their, well, the movies that they did, so they did Yellow Submarine, they did Hard Day's Night, Help as well, and I think the music from those movies are just as good as some of their other albums, and I love listening to Help quite a lot. There's so many great songs that they have on there. But again, I think they must have been one of the first bands to kind of do the whole bands in making movies. I know Elvis was one of the first people to kind of do that as well, because he was so big that they were, you know, he's an actor as well. So I haven't seen any of Elvis's movies, but I've heard that they're good, and I heard that he is a good actor in that sense. Another kind of genre is, you know, you're looking at some heavy metal bands, like you have Metallica. So they did Through the Never, which I haven't seen. I know there's a little bit of a theme, but these are just some ones that I have seen kind of pop up online. And I do remember Through the Never, when it did come out, it was actually came out in IMAX, so that's pretty cool. I think they had filmed it for IMAX cinema itself, because obviously it's a live concert, and then they also had a bit like The Song Remains the Same, where they have acting and then they have the band itself. I don't think they were acting, I think they must have done something towards the end, but I know I think Dane DeHaan's in it, which is pretty cool because he's a good actor. I think it's meant to be like an apocalyptic kind of setting on the outside world, and then they have the band performing a concert and just all that whole shabam, which is pretty cool. I'm actually going to do the rest of these off camera because I need to concentrate on this liner, so I'll just be really quick. Alright, I'm back. So I thought I would just do the rest of my face off camera anyway, because I would have done my lips off camera. But there you go. So yeah, just a couple of more shout outs, like Prince, of course, with Purple Rain. I completely forgot to kind of incorporate him in that as well. It's been a very, very long time since I've watched the movie. The soundtrack is just phenomenal. It is such a beautiful soundtrack. If you haven't listened to Purple Rain, I really would recommend it. It's just it takes you on such a journey. And the movie as well, which again, I need to watch again very soon. And then one that makes me laugh, that I found out from a YouTube that I watched called Red Letter Media. I didn't know this existed, but Kiss have done a few movies. So they did one called Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, where that this park makes I think it's like a Kiss themed park, and they make these electronics out of the band, and they start like malfunctioning, and then the real band have to face off against them and fight them. It's crazy, and I've heard it's shit. But I think sometimes, you know, a lot of bands do try, and then like my favorite kind of band movie ever is Spinal Tap. I know they are a real band essentially, but they're a fake band at the same time. But that is like my favorite comedy movie all time. But yeah, this is my finished look. This was just a bit of a random video of me talking about bands I love that have made films, and I hope it's an interesting idea for a video. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, because I film and upload every time I get a chance to. Don't forget to follow me on my social media, because I'm always active on there. And I hope you're having a good week, and I'll see you soon. Bye.